We've all been given a great gift with this housing. We've been given the gift to be able to serve others. You look at this housing and think of the people who will be able to live in here. We've been given the gift of being able to work and repay them for all the work they've done in making our community as strong as. They're the ones who serve us our food. They're the ones who check us out. They're the elderly who work for years and upon whose shoulders we stand. My name is Peter Hansen. I work at the Housing Authority along with a lot of the other good folks here. We're very happy to be opening these buildings, and thank you all for taking a few minutes out of your day to come here. I see my chairman is approaching also, Sandy Mitchell. Also present are two other commissioners, Sheila Lund with a coffee cup in her hand over there in the middle, and Peggy Jacobson and Peggy over there at the end. So we have three of the commissioners here. Obviously there are thanks in order. First to HUD, who's represented by Tom Friesen, who will say a few words in a few minutes, for providing us a replacement housing factor for this project. This is the first public housing built in the state, newly built, since 1994. It's quite an accomplishment to be able to have housing like this constructed, especially for people who earn under 30% of median income. Also, a big participant is Fannie Mae, who's provided us with loan funds to help bridge the money until HUD comes with the rest of their funding. Acknowledgements in order. First and foremost, Shellen Miller, who is standing over here, is a project manager. She saw this project from when it was a pile of dirt through today, under Andrea Davis's able mentoring. Lori Davidson is also here, who was responsible for making sure we got the Fannie Mae loan at an incredible 4.3%, 4.4% interest rate. Which is, for those who know the market, is really tremendous. Clearly, we also have people from the occupancy department and admissions and leasing, and we also have two residents who will be moving in here in the next week or two. So we have everyone who could possibly be involved with this project. Mostly, though, the thanks goes to the board, to Sandy Mitchell as our chair, and to two past chairs, Kathy Schulte and Tom Moore, who helped see this project from the beginning and persevered through the end of today. We're going to have a few words from the mayor, but before we do so, I seem to recall that at one point I heard a story about John, that he was walking a beach in Hawaii, and he came across a magic lamp, and he rubbed the lamp, and a genie came out. And the genie said, "You've been a fairly good councilman, you're going to make an excellent mayor. Because of that, we'll grant you one wish." And he said, "All right." And John said, "I would like to have a bridge built from Missoula, Montana to Hawaii. So I can access Hawaii anytime I want. I can just drive over there and be there." The genie said, "Come on, be practical. Do you know what kind of pilings that's going to take, what kind of construction, the interference with the environment? And that's so materialistic. Isn't there anything else you really want, something that's just more enriching of the soul?" So John thought for a few minutes. He said, "You know, the more I think about it, I'd really like to understand the city council better. What makes them tick? What are the things that really interest them? I want to be able to work with them more closely. I want to be able to get into their souls and understand what's going on." After a few seconds of silence, the genie said, "Do you want that bridge to be 4 lanes or 2? With that, I present to you our Mayor, John Engen.
Thank you very much, Peter. None of that story was accurate, though. I was on a beach recently in Hawaii, and the Greenpeace people kept trying to push me back in the water. So, but we moved on from there, and that's not what today is about. Today is about housing, and about community, and about opportunity. And I'm pleased to be here to help celebrate this opportunity and this small community that fits into our larger community. And this is a community that cares a great deal for all of the folks who live here. I'm proud to be a part of this, and I'm continue to be impressed by the folks I see fairly regularly at these events. But there's always one or two new faces, or one or two different faces, and that's part of the beauty of Missoula. Is we have a lot of the usual suspects, but some of you are fresh to this, and the more of the fresh ones we build, the better off we're going to be. This is fantastic. I hope to spend a little time on the bridge with a fishing pole sometime later. That probably requires a license of some sort, and I suspect I'll be talking to the City Council about that as well. Without further ado, we'll let other speakers congratulate the Housing Authority and the folks who had anything and everything to do with this project. Again, congratulations. Thanks for coming out this afternoon. I've asked the blizzard to hold off for another 45 minutes, so we should be in good shape. Thanks, folks.
Is an important moment. 4 years ago, the Housing Authority went through a public process to sell off 45 of its public housing units to raise a development fund. There's a promise at that time made that would attempt to replace those 45 units with additional 45 serving the same income group. These units you see here, these 6, are units 85 through 90 on that promise. We have already doubled the number of units that were sold. We're on track. At the end of this year, we will have increased the number of units the Housing Authority provides from the original 750-ish to close to 1,200 units built in the last 4 years or provided in the last 4 years. We'll have increased the supply of affordable housing in the city by nearly 400 units in that period of time because of the sale of those 45 originals. It's a promise that this board made. It's a promise that we've been proud to be able to keep. With that, I'm going to be calling on Melanie Brock from Senator Box's office to read a quick letter. And I'm wondering if she's going to be able to confirm a story I heard about another famous Democrat. It was Bill Clinton and Hillary, I understand, were driving through Arkansas one day, and they stopped at a gas station, and there was a guy pumping gas. And he said, "Hillary, don't you recognize me? We used to date in high school." And they have this reunion. They're talking back and forth. And he's pumping the gas and he's wiping the bugs off the windshield. And as they pull away, Bill kind of looks at Hillary and smiles smugly and says, "You know, just think where you'd be today, how different things would be if you'd married him instead of me." She said, "Yeah, you'd be pumping gas and he'd be president." And with that, Melanie, if you can confirm that.
You better have a joke for Larry. Since Senator Baucus couldn't be here today, he did send this letter, and it says, "Dear friends, I am sorry that I can't be with you today to dedicate the 9th Street duplexes. I'd like to thank everybody who worked so hard to get the duplexes completed and open. I'd especially like to recognize Peter Hance and the Missoula Housing Authority for all the effort you put into this project. This project represents Montana's first new public housing in 12 years. The project not only is a great achievement for the city of Missoula and its residents, but also a great achievement for all Montanans. By working together, we are able to complete projects like this that make Montana an even better place to live. Whether it's creating good-paying jobs, helping local or statewide organizations, or working with all of you to improve our communities, Montana is my first priority. Projects like this one go a long way in helping to achieve this goal, and for that I want to thank everyone. Enjoy the rest of your celebration, and thanks again to everyone who helped to make this project possible. I look forward to seeing you all in the near future. All the best, Max."
Well, I see great clouds approaching, so I'm going to cut this short, and my joke for Senator Burns will be cut off. So with that, Larry Anderson from Senator Burns' office. I was the one about being a grandparent, so don't worry about it.
Thank you, Peter. Dear friends, thank you for the invitation to attend the grand opening of the Missoula Housing Authority 9th Street duplexes. I'm away on other business, and it prevents me from attending in person, but I would like to share some thoughts with you through this letter. Missoula Housing Authority has provided housing for Missoula citizens in need through a number of different financing arrangements and programs. It is exciting to see that this public housing project is the first of its kind in nearly 12 years. The housing provided under this program is open to anyone who meets the income requirements rather than only those who fit a certain group, such as veterans, disabled, or some other category. It is also important to note that these duplexes meet a variety of needs of those waiting for housing in Missoula. The mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units will make a difference in the lives of 6 families on the waiting list for subsidized housing. Having been involved in securing funding through a variety of housing projects for seniors, single-family parents, and veterans in Missoula and throughout Montana, I am well aware of how important adequate housing is for all our citizens. I want to commend you, Peter, and your staff for your dedication and ingenuity in addressing the needs of Missoula citizens. Congratulations, and I look forward to working with you on future projects. Sincerely, Conrad Burns, United States Senate.
We have one additional speaker today, and that is from the font of the funds for this project. Tom Friesen from the head Helena office is here, and he'll have a word to say about future public housing.
Thank you, Peter. Just a couple words of congratulations, and I also bring greetings from congratulations from John Carson, the regional director out of the Denver office, and also from Ann Roman, who is the director of public housing out of the Denver office, both of whom would have loved to be here if that had been possible. I'm fairly familiar with public housing plans from housing authorities throughout the region, and even somewhat beyond and into the wider beyond our region. And I think it's pretty clear to say that there are only a few housing authorities that are kind of doing a lot on their own and have kind of decided that they can't wait for the government to come back to funding levels that may existed at one time, but they're going to form new partnerships and they're going to do creative things with HUD funding by selling off some housing units and creating a development fund or project-basing vouchers to make more multifamily housing possible. And the Missoula Housing Authority is clearly pretty close to the top of the list as an agency that has very creatively dealt with some issues in this community and done that by being willing to cooperate and partner and compromise with other agencies to make this happen. I was recently at a ribbon cutting event, something like this in Colorado, and it was multifamily housing, and it included some commercial space, and it included market rate housing and subsidized housing, and at the end of the day there were 13 partners that were there to make that project happen. And it took 3 years, and you could see the pain of pulling that together, and at the same time it was the commitment of all those groups, no one sticking out above anyone else that made that project happen. And I see some of that happening here in Missoula, and certainly a very creative community and a very powerful statement of what this community is doing for all of its citizens. I guess just one final comment. The nicest thing, the best compliment I can give about this project is just to recognize the creative design. This project is not conspicuous because it's subsidized. It's not conspicuous because it's public housing. If it's conspicuous at all, it's because of its creative design and the way it blends into the community. So those people who are fortunate enough to live here will have the, did I do that? We'll have the opportunity to be full participants in the community, and that's the goal for all of us. And that's really, I think, why we're all here, so that people who live here maybe can move on from here to home ownership, maybe can stay here, whatever meets their needs. But at any rate, they're here as full participants in the community. So I commend you for these efforts, and I think I'll be back because I think there's more to come. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. We've all been given a great gift with this housing. We've been given the gift to be able to serve others. You look at this housing and think of the people who will be able to live in here. That building over there are 2 one-bedroom apartments, fully accessible. A person who could live in there from our waiting list could be a young man or woman in their 20s, wheelchair or otherwise challenged, and now have a place to be independent and to grow. And these other buildings are family buildings, 3-bedroom units there, 2-bedroom units here. Some of the applicants on the waiting list include a family with a single mom who's working as a server in a restaurant. who's struggling to make ends meet at $7 an hour who qualify for the housing. Or they could be a family with one of the parents being a student, the other one working as a cashier. We've been given the gift of being able to work and repay them for all the work they've done in making our community as strong as. They're the ones who serve us our food, they're the ones who check us out, they're the elderly who work for years and upon whose shoulders we stand in this community. We're very lucky to be able to do this. And any gift comes with a ribbon. So if I could call upon the mayor and our chairman, Sandy Mitchell, to come up here, and along with Shellen Miller, who is again the project manager, and most importantly, the person who normally is ignored in this process, the architect, Don MacArthur from MacArthur Means and Wells, who was responsible for this design and executing the project from beginning to end. Four of you could come up here and cut the ribbon jointly, however we're going to work this out.
Promote, I thought this was one of those new self-cutting ribbons. Put the lights on me out there.
Run right up there.
Come on, get some hands on it.
Get a grip.
1, 2, 3, cut. Thank you for coming. Enjoy some cake, enjoy some coffee. Water the buildings, let's beat the storm.
So we're here at 2209, 2205, and 2207 9th Street West. We're next to Franklin Park, near Franklin Elementary School and C.S. Porter Middle School. So this is our building 1, which we have 2 units here. They're both 1 bedrooms. One is fully accessible, so anyone in a wheelchair can move in tomorrow and have, be fully accessible to all the rooms in the building. And on the other side is Unit B, which is adaptable, which means it'd be a really quick switch. If somebody was in a wheelchair, we could fix it up so that they would be able to reach everything and scoot in under the kitchen sinks and that type of thing. So at the Housing Authority, we serve kind of 3 groups of folks: working families, disabled folks that are on fixed incomes, along with elderly people who are also on fixed incomes. So yeah, should we go in? Go check it out? One of the things that we tried to do that Peter mentioned is, build the site so that it fits in with the neighborhood, and we think that we were really successful in doing that. As you come down 9th Street, you see here this housing is 1 story, which fits in with most of the adjacent properties. The 2-story, the taller buildings are tucked back so that folks can still appreciate and enjoy the beautiful view of Mount Sentinel and also Franklin Park there in the distance. So we're really proud of being able to kind of situate the site so that it fits in with the neighborhood and still gets the density that we need to make it affordable.
I think this is really an asset to this area, and I just love that view on that one downstairs. Isn't that neat?
Oh, isn't it great?
You
We were
see
just
the-
saying that the views there really are priceless.
I would love to be in that one. We could watch the ditch and the kids at the park. Oh, wonderful.
Thanks for coming. Oh, that's nice. Go for it. No. So this is Unit 1A, and like I said, it's a fully accessible unit. You kind of walk into the kitchen. We have a nice little sitting area, nice closets, and the kitchen's fully accessible. So a lot of our folks, as I was saying, the seniors and the disabled folks need this, and they have it here in the midst of an existing neighborhood. I can show you, here's the kitchen, and you can see there's the roll-in sinks, which is necessary. We purposely tried to include bigger windows to really allow there to be plenty of light in the units. We don't have any lights on now. I don't know if... Show you this is kind of just the multi-purpose use room with the washer dryer that come with the units, along with the fully accessible bathroom, and a huge bedroom, which, I'm of course envious of, with the closet space and the really big, nice wood windows, double hung windows. One of the other things that the architects and us were able to work on is, as you can see when you look out the bedroom window, you're not looking right into somebody else's living room. So although these homes are very close to one another, they're set off from each other so that you still maintain a sense of openness throughout the site. Each unit has a little storage area. It's about 25 square feet for their, extra rakes or anything that they need for their house, along with recreation equipment or anything like that. So there's a little bit of storage. The units are small, but we feel that, what you can store is what you have. So we're hoping that folks won't feel too cramped here, but this is about a 500 square foot unit, so we're hoping that's enough for people. Some nice built-in shelves and some nice closet space. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Excuse
We're
me.
just doing a tour here. Thanks for coming.
Yes, they're wonderful.
Thank you.
Aren't they?
So let's take you over to building 2. So as you can see, we have the bollards that come on in the evening time to kind of keep the place well lit. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
See you later.
See ya.
This is Unit 1B, which is the adaptable unit. It's also a 1-bedroom. As you can see, we pulled in the entranceway to kind of combine in with the rest of the little community back here. Just another design feature that we're proud of, and it also kind of makes this this building look like a single-family home. We have double parking, so folks will have to pull in one behind each other here on both sides. And the accessible parking is right around the corner. We can go into building 2. Hi, Lori.
Decisions all the way through.
Alright, so this is the building that we opened up for the grand opening. We'll see if there's any cake left. That's a great poster, courtesy of MMW. It just kind of shows the construction from, September 2005. Here we have a vacant lot. It's actually 6 lots, although only about 4 to 4.5 of them are buildable because the 5th and 6th, they're part of the irrigation ditch adjacent to us. But it started from nothing, and it's now 6 affordable housing units, which is something that we're proud of. And we had a number of different neighborhood meetings, 4 neighborhood meetings with folks here on 9th Street and the adjacent streets. Come on in. Pretty casual. We took care of the cake, huh? So here we had the big celebration with the cake and everything, and then just a little quick timeline that kind of shows you the Missoula Housing Authority purchased the property in 1998. In June of 2003, we started kind of officially thinking about the design of the site. We awarded the architectural contract to MMW Architects. In July, we started having neighborhood meetings. The first one, which Peter mentioned before as well, we could have put another building up front here, but it really became apparent to the neighborhood that they wanted the community maintained in the way that they were used to seeing it. So we pulled that building out, and then we just have the 3 that you see here at the first meeting. And then we went on later that summer and into the following 2 years, we had a number of other neighborhood meetings that we discussed everything from the open space and the landscaping and the types of shrubs to the building heights and the pitches of the roof and the colors of the buildings. So, we were really happy with the collaboration that we had with the community here, and for the most part, pretty supportive neighbors. So we have the kitchen here, and we have the uplighting and the downlighting on the cabinets, which is really an affordable way to light your kitchen, and we just think it looks great. Really usable space, really durable materials we try to use. These are, rental housing units, but we have a full-time maintenance staff that is phenomenal, and that's something that we pride ourselves as the Housing Authority, that our properties are going to continue to look good throughout the years. We use, good material that will withstand some of the durability issues that we have, and for the most part, we think that it's better to have a neighbor who is the Housing Authority, where we own the property and our offices are in town and you know how to reach us. We're a public agency, a public nonprofit, as opposed to having a landlord that you have to contact if the grass isn't mowed in California or somewhere and you can't ever get a hold of them. So we're pretty proud of our maintenance crew and also how accessible we are to both our clients and to the communities that we decided to develop here in Missoula. So nice little kitchen area, nice little dining area, a place for families to get together and enjoy their meals together. One of the other things is that you've heard from passerbyers talk about is the incredible view from these units in Building 2, and it's just something to die for. You look out onto Franklin Park, which, you know, recently you see Nicole, they're moving our sign. The festivities are about ending here, but there's the park there, and in the far corner is the new splash park, part of the city's water park. We can go outside if you'd like, just take a quick peek. And each unit has their own patio, which is divided here. Nice little cedar division, and then there's the storage units that each unit has as well. I'm not sure if that's open. Is it? Great. Great. About 25 square feet of storage, which we're hoping we could use as secure bike storage maybe. Great view. Peter, you want to talk about the fence a little bit?
The fence was purposely designed to protect kids from going into the irrigation ditch. There's been a lot of debate in Missoula on what the proper type of bridge would, proper type of fence would be. In this case, we opted for one which, because of the vertical rails, there's no good place to get a foothold in there to be able to go over the top. But by being that open, any child that's on the other side can be seen by someone on this side, and it's low enough that you can vault over it to save the child, but it's not so low that a young child can make it over. So it's really we tried to have a compromise between being able to see the activities on the ditch side and have access from adults or other supervisors who can really help the kids if something happens over there.
Yeah, and the good part about it is, you know, from the user's perspective here, it doesn't impede the view or anything like that. So, you know, it's a great compromise, I think.
Good compromise.
Moving on. So this is the 2-bedroom unit, and you know, we don't really have a typical master bedroom, but both of the bedrooms are pretty nice. And this is the view that I was saying. It's just incredible if you can get a nice shot of that. And you see Snowball in the background, and you know, the rattlesnake, and all of North Missoula. It's pretty nice little view there. And then from this end, you have the park, and you know, you can see it's a really well-used park. Lots of people playing. There's basketball courts, playground. You know, we have this open space within the site, but at the same time, being adjacent to the park, it's like you can landscape this area. We'll have a picnic table outside and some bushes, but we didn't need to flatten it out and make it a huge water-guzzling lawn because we have this that our families can utilize, and that now with the bridge they can access it safely, and the other families on the end of 9th Street can also access it. So this is one of the largest ditches in Missoula. I mean, it's really huge. It feeds into all sorts of other irrigation ditches in the area. So it was, you know, it's quite an important piece, I think, to the whole project is that bridge. This is a bathroom. It's a great use of space, and just that, you know, we have a slide-out door which tucks in here, and then we have, you know, the vanity sink, kitchen sink, and or bathroom sink, and then the toilet and the shower are in the second room. So, you know, if you have a mom and a dad and 2 kids here, or more likely a single mother, single father with 2 kids, you know, someone can be in the shower while someone's brushing their teeth. We just think it's a great design feature in building 2 especially. And then this is the second bedroom. It's, you know, not a whole lot different than the first. We have great, you know, with the pitched roofs, the pitched roofs on the outsides of these buildings make the buildings seem smaller. So although there's 2 stories and we have a full, you know, second story here from the outside, you know, the roof line is below us, so they make the buildings seem to be like a 1.5 story looking building. And with that, you get all these great features and bedrooms of the, you know, the different roof lines and stuff, which really is reminiscent of an older home. So it's brand new infill housing, but it seems like an existing home within the existing neighborhood. So this is building 3A. Thank you. And this is the 3-bedroom. So these are the largest units, and of course, you know, they fit the most people in them. It's a nice big living room. Again, it's those nice big windows, double hung windows that enable you to get light from different directions in the room. Notice all the rooms have windows, so you're never clustered into a dark cave in any of these units. Another design feature we're really proud of. Let's see here, so the kitchen's over here. Similar layout to the unit that we were in before, although it's a little bit deeper in depth here, this 3-bedroom. So these folks have, there's actually 4 parking spaces tucked in here that are again double front to back parking. So there'll have to be a little coordination from families, you know, whoever's leaving in the morning for work will have to park behind, but it's something that, you know, enables us to get houses in, get density in, and make them affordable. So we're pretty proud of that. Let's see here. Well, like each unit has a washer dryer. In both building 2 and building 3, the washer dryer is in the bathroom here. And we have plenty, you know, some nice cupboards and storage space for folks to use and enjoy the great kitchen. These bedrooms are quite a bit smaller, you know, but hopefully you could fit, you know, twin beds for kids in these units, and it would be adequate space. So each bedroom has a closet, of course, and then the nice big windows, which we have in each room. This is the second bedroom. This is definitely the smallest bedroom. Smallest bedroom by far. You know, it would be great for a small child with a twin bed, and that's, you know, that's probably all that would be really comfortable here. But again, it's got the nice big windows, the nice view. One of the things this project included is we vacated the alley. As you can see, there's this alley that ran behind our parcel, and it ended at the irrigation ditch. So it was virtually unused. You know, we hear from the neighbors that teenagers and kids used to come and do wheelies here and you know, play rough with their cars in this vacant lots. So what we vacated the alley in collaboration with our neighbors across the way, so that our parcel pushed out an extra 10 feet and our neighbor's parcel pushed out an extra 10 feet as well, which gave us just a little bit more flexibility in parking and the garbage enclosure, which you see there, and the bike enclosure as well. You know, with a site like this, we're expecting people to use, you know, low-income families are not going to have multiple cars. It's an added expense that they can't afford. So we're expecting people to use multimodal transportation, including bikes. We're close to the bus route, and it's in walking distance to schools. And then the last bedroom's here. We got a nice linen closet, just a few little things that make it feel like home. Nice big windows again, and you know, again, we have these great interior wall designs that, you know, are due to these incredible roof lines, but it really adds some uniqueness to these spaces and also some, you know, nice character, I think. Right around 2003, I believe, the Housing Authority, or I guess it was about 2001, excuse me, sold 45 public housing units. And the selling of those units generated what we call the development fund. And at one point in time, it was about $4 million, which was solely generated from selling off public housing units that were, many of which were 4 and 5 bedroom units, and our waiting list that we have just didn't have the need for those types of units. Or they were older and they needed a lot of long-term maintenance issues were coming up, and they just needed some, you know, TLC that the housing, it wasn't worth it for us to be putting it into those units. So what we did was we sold those units, we got this development fund, and since then we've been able to leverage that fund to build all sorts of different developments. This one included, we got the replacement housing factor funding for this, which is federal funds from HUD. It's based on a 10-year period. Part of the replacement housing factor funds is that you don't get as much maintenance money, the capital money, over the next few years. So we really had to use high-grade materials throughout the project so that it wouldn't need new cupboards in a few years or new doors in a few years. You know, other projects that development fund has spurred is the Valor House, which is for homeless veterans, 17 units off of Mullen Road, along with 16 units for homeless families over at Maclay Commons, which is right off Reserve Street. So we've been able to house low income folks who really need a stable and safe and secure place to live, hopefully for a temporary period of time, by selling off those public housing units and then also replacing some of our public housing stock. And of course, there'll be more affordable housing to come, but from the federal government and the administration continually is cutting some of these domestic programs such as HUD funding. So the Housing Authority is constantly looking for other funding sources With the ability to leverage our development fund, we're looking at partnerships with other nonprofits and for-profit entities, including investors with tax credits, to build, develop, and maintain affordable housing for families. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today, and the weather looks like it broke. It's the 9th Street Public Housing Project. We're really proud of it here at the Housing Authority, and if you have any questions, feel free to give the Housing Authority a call to discuss, how we came about this with this development.